Rome was not built in a day,
and it didn't fall in one either. A city that rose from myth, shaped continents, crushed rivals, inspired revolutions, and then collapsed into the pages of history. From Romulus and Remus to Julius Caesar, from Augustus to Constantine, from the Senate to the sword, Rome was more than an empire. It was an idea. For over a millennium, Rome shaped the world, through conquest and culture, through war and reform, through blood and ambition. Today, we explore the rise and fall of an empire that still echoes in our architecture, our politics, and our dreams. This is the story of Rome. The origins of Rome lie in legend. According to myth, in 753 BC, twin brothers Romulus and Remus, born of a Vestal virgin and fathered by Mars, the god of war, were abandoned in the wild. A she-wolf found and raised them, until they grew to challenge their destiny. A quarrel over where to build their city turned deadly. Romulus killed Remus, and with his name, he founded Rome atop the Palatine Hill. While the story may be myth, the Kingdom of Rome did rise in the 8th century BC, heavily influenced by the Etruscans, an advanced civilization to the north. Rome's first kings built temples, canals, and fortifications. The Cloaca Maxima, one of the world's earliest sewage systems, still flows beneath Rome to this day. But Rome's kings, especially the last one, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, known for his cruelty, would ultimately become the cause of revolution. After the rape of Lucretia, a noble woman, by the king's son, the Roman people rose in outrage. In 59 BC, they overthrew the monarchy and vowed, never again would one man hold total power. Thus, the Roman Republic was born. The Roman Republic was a bold experiment in governance, ruled not by kings, but by elected magistrates, checked by a powerful Senate. It was a system that emphasized libertas, the Roman concept of freedom, not as we know it, but as freedom from tyranny. Rome quickly expanded, absorbing neighboring Latin tribes through alliances and conquest. In 390 BC, disaster struck. Rome was sacked by the Gauls. But the humiliation only hardened Rome's resolve. Within a century, they would dominate the Italian peninsula. Rome's secret? A highly disciplined army, brilliant engineering, and a legal code, the 12 tables, that applied to all citizens. But nothing tested Rome's strength like its greatest rival across the sea. Carthage. The Punic Wars would define an era. In the First Punic War, 264 to 241 BC, Rome built a navy from scratch and defeated Carthage to claim Sicily. In the Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BC, Hannibal, one of the greatest generals in history, marched war elephants across the Alps. He devastated Italy for over a decade. But Rome endured. At the Battle of Zama in 202 BC, the Roman general Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal, ending the threat. Finally, in the Third Punic War, 149–146 BC, Rome razed Carthage to the ground, enslaved its population, and sowed salt in its fields. The Republic stood triumphant, but victory bred arrogance and inequality. With new lands came new problems, wealth flooded into Rome, but not for everyone. Landowners bought up farms, leaving veterans jobless. The rich grew richer, the poor starved. Reformers like Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus tried to redistribute land, but both were murdered by elites. The Republic turned to violence. Power shifted from the Senate to ambitious generals. Gaius Marius reformed the army, allowing landless men to serve, creating legions loyal to generals instead of the state. Then came Lucius Cornelius Sulla, who seized Rome by force and declared himself dictator with no term limit. The idea of a Roman citizen governing by consensus was dying. In its place, civil war, and eventually, a name that still echoes, Julius Caesar. Caesar, a brilliant general, conquered Gaul, wrote dispatches that made him a hero, and crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BC, with his army declaring war on the Republic. After defeating his rival Pompey, Caesar became dictator for life. But absolute power has its price. On March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, Caesar was stabbed 23 times by senators, some of whom he called friends. In the wake of Caesar's assassination, the Republic spiraled into another civil war. At the center of the chaos stood Caesar's adopted son and heir, Gaius Octavius, better known as Octavian. Together with Mark Antony and Marcus Lepidus, he formed a second triumvirate, hunting down Caesar's killers. But alliances in Rome were as fragile as glass. Octavian and Antony soon turned on each other. Their rivalry culminated in the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, where Octavian's fleet crushed Antony and Queen Cleopatra of Egypt. Antony and Cleopatra took their own lives. Octavian returned to Rome not as a dictator, but as a savior. In 27 BC, he accepted the title Augustus, meaning the revered one. Officially, the Republic still existed. Senators met, laws were passed. But the truth was clear: the empire had begun. Augustus was emperor in all but name. He reformed the military, created a civil service, built roads, aqueducts, temples, and restored faith in Rome. No longer would generals seize power by force. Under Augustus, the empire found order and peace. What followed was nearly 200 years of peace, known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. The empire stretched from Britain to Egypt, from the Atlantic to the Euphrates. Over 65 million people lived under Roman rule. Daily life thrived, markets bustled, trade routes connected east and west, and law brought relative stability. Great emperors like Trajan, Hadrian, and Marcus Aurelius ruled during this time. Trajan expanded Rome to its greatest extent, conquering Dacia and bringing in vast wealth. Hadrian, his successor, built walls, not to conquer, but to defend. Hadrian's wall still stands in Britain today. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, brought wisdom and restraint. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Rome's architecture reflected its power. The Pantheon, the Colosseum, the Forum Romanum all rose during this era. Gladiator games, festivals, and Roman baths became part of daily life. But beneath the surface, storms gathered. The bureaucracy grew bloated. The rich became richer. Slavery underpinned the economy. And when Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD, he made a fateful mistake, passing the empire to his unstable son, Commodus. With the death of Marcus Aurelius, the Golden Age ended. Commodus, his son, thought himself a god. He dressed as Hercules, fought in the arena, and drained the treasury with vanity projects. He was assassinated in 192 AD, plunging the empire into chaos. Over the next century, Rome saw over 20 emperors, most dying by murder or mutiny. This period, known as the Crisis of the 3rd century, nearly destroyed the empire. Civil war raged, plagues decimated cities, the economy collapsed. Emperors like Aurelian and Diocletian managed to stabilize Rome temporarily. Diocletian made a bold move. He split the empire in two. The Western Roman Empire ruled from Rome, the Eastern Roman Empire from Byzantium, later Constantinople. While Diocletian retired in peace, new threats rose. Barbarian tribes, Goths, Vandals, Huns, pressed on Rome's borders. And inside the empire, a new religion was taking hold. In 312 AD, Constantine the Great saw a vision before battle. In this sign, conquer. He won and became the first emperor to embrace Christianity. In 330 AD, he moved the capital east, renaming Byzantium as Constantinople, the new Rome. By the end of the 4th century, the Roman Empire was permanently divided. The East, with its wealth, cities, and strong bureaucracy, flourished. The West, it was crumbling. In 410 AD, a shock. Rome was sacked for the first time in 800 years. The invaders, the Visigoths, led by Alaric. Though they spared the churches, the psychological damage was immense. The eternal city was no longer eternal. The Western Empire suffered from corrupt leadership, civil wars, a weakened army, and an economy in freefall. Emperors became puppets of military strongmen and barbarian generals. In 451 AD, Rome briefly rallied when Flavius Aetius, a general called the Last of the Romans, defeated Attila the Hun at the Battle of the Catalaunian Plains. But the end was near. In 455 AD, the Vandals looted Rome again, this time with more destruction. Finally, in 476 AD, a Germanic commander named Odoacer deposed the 16-year-old emperor Romulus Augustulus. No Roman legions marched to save him, no Senate declared war. The Western Roman Empire was gone. But the Roman story didn't end in 476. The Eastern Empire, known to history as the Byzantine Empire, endured for another 1,000 years. Its capital, Constantinople, was a beacon of wealth, learning, and military strength. In the 6th century, the Emperor Justinian I launched campaigns to reclaim lost Western lands. He also compiled the Corpus Juris Civilis, the foundation for modern civil law. Byzantine culture blended Greek, Roman, and Christian influences. The Hagia Sophia, completed in 537 AD, symbolized this fusion, a massive cathedral with a dome that defied imagination. But over time, the Byzantines faced their own decline. Religious conflict, crusades, plagues, and invasions from Seljuk Turks and eventually the Ottoman Empire. In 1453 AD, the final Roman city, Constantinople, fell. The last emperor, Constantine XI, died defending the walls. With him, the last flicker of the Roman state was extinguished. But Rome's legacy never died. Rome is gone, but it never truly left us. Roman law shapes the legal codes of over 150 countries. Its language, Latin, birthed Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Roman engineering gave us concrete, domes, roads, bridges, and aqueducts still used today. The Roman Republic inspired the US Constitution, French Revolution, and countless democracies. Even our calendar, months, and the very word emperor come from Rome. Roma Aeterna, eternal Rome. Perhaps not in empire, but in memory, in stone, in blood, Rome endures. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. This is just the beginning of a series that will dive deeper into the stories, wars, emperors, and legacies that made Rome the most iconic civilization in history. In future episodes, we'll explore the Punic Wars, the reign of emperors like Nero and Trajan, Rome's daily life, military strategies and brutal politics, and the 1,000-year saga of the Eastern Roman Empire. History isn't just about the past, it's about the patterns, the warnings, the lessons. And perhaps no civilization offers more lessons than Rome. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Comment below, what topic in Roman history should we cover next? And remember, only the dead have seen the end of war.